I want to start this video off by saying yes, I am aware that trial chambers are currently in the snapshot phase. Yes, Mojang will add changes as time goes on that will likely shift my opinions. And all of this is my opinion. Your opinion may conflict with mine. That's totally fine. Actually, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on trial chambers so far. One of my favorite parts of making these videos is reading the different ideas that you guys have. My goal is to start a discussion and maybe get some ideas bouncing off each other. I love seeing that kind of thing on my videos, and hey, while you're down there, why not consider liking and subscribing? It would mean the world to me if you did. Anyway, let's get into the video. Today, I'm talking all about the good and the bad and the ugly of trial chambers. They've been in the game for a few weeks now. I've had some time to go through them in both just some controlled environments where I'll give myself stuff and go at it, and as well as just my hardcore world where I just found one and went for it. So I want to start with the good things, the things that just work. Overall, trial chambers are really fun. They offer players a unique opportunity to fight against some of the tougher mobs in Minecraft. Not only are players faced with new challenges, but these structures are massive, which I really enjoy. Players can obtain a ton of loot. In fact, the scale of these things almost necessitates that players either go through more than once or in groups of players to gather all the materials inside. Trial chambers are also extremely versatile, which is maybe best exemplified by the fact that they can be played over and over again. That mechanic alone will be a lovely addition to any server or any world in general. Let's talk about layout. I appreciate the utility of these central hallways in the trial chambers. This room is where all the other rooms seem to branch off of. It's a nice hub area where players aren't really in too many danger, minus a couple of spawners on the bottom floor. It allows you to take a breather, collect your things, and put items you've gotten into nearby barrels. Beyond this hallway, there's nice small rooms with beds inside that you can kind of use as save points to respawn in case you die. Now, I was playing in hardcore in this footage you're watching, so these are worthless to me, but I can imagine some people would find these rooms extremely useful. The final room that I really like to highlight is this room where you fight baby zombies, which has an excellent design. Having the walls be one block high at your head is genius and infuriating. It allows the baby zombies to chase you down without having to follow the same path you take. They can cut corners to reach you faster, which is a really fun challenge that I enjoy. There are some rooms that I dislike, but we'll have to save that for the latter half of this video. Another mechanic that I am very excited to use is the trial spawner. This block revolutionizes how I can make my little custom dungeons. Particularly, this will be terrific for challenge rooms or boss rooms in my dungeons, and it has me considering rethinking my current dungeon philosophy. The fact that players can get rewards multiple times without any intervention from me or my staff team is amazing. This means far less work for me on my server and my team, and more focusing on cool new dungeons. And just in terms of just the single player side of things, having a dungeon that you can go through multiple times and not have to worry about finding a new one over and over again is really awesome, and I absolutely love it. The next big thing I really want to talk about that I really enjoyed is copper bulbs, which are obviously great for redstone. I just learned how to make a T-flip flop like an hour or two before writing the script. What I noticed is that having a copper bulb able to do the work of several blocks is really awesome and would simplify a lot of redstone for me. Outside of its redstone capabilities, copper bulbs work really well along trial spawners as a sort of reset for the trial chamber. As the copper oxidizes, the light gets dimmer, meaning players have to come back and scrape off the lights to get the light up again. Something I really love is that you could find honeycomb in some of the barrels of the trial chambers. At first I was unsure of why this would be in the loot tables. Why would you have honeycomb of all things? But as I was scraping off copper bulbs, it hit me. You can use the honeycomb to keep the lights on forever. What a simple and genius solution to lighting up rooms. Of course, I want to talk about the Breeze. It's an amazing mob. I love the Breeze. It's a really cool looking mob, but not to mention extremely unique. Mojang did a great job by implementing it into the trial chambers. They're only found in big open rooms. Typically these rooms have lots of dispensers on the walls with like buttons which can be used to activate the Breeze's attack. I've never been hit by anything out of these dispensers, but it's a really cool quirk to add to the overall fight. I think Breezes are a really nice change of pace to the typical Minecraft hostile mob. And unfortunately, that's about the most I can say about the things about the trial chambers that I liked. Now, these are going to be the bad things, the things that I think could maybe use some slight updates, maybe some tweaking, and then later we'll get into the ugly, which are things that I think need major overhauls. One issue I see with trial chambers is that they are really hard to find. It's incredibly difficult to find in survival. They spawn fairly frequently on the ground, but as it stands, your only way of finding one is purely by chance. Now, in the footage you're seeing, I knew there was one under this mountain because I had played on this seed before in a previous snapshot to find trial chambers and go look at them when they were first added. I've been using the seed for a long time. It's a really good seed. There's villages nearby, there's mountains, there's an ancient city nearby. It's like my go-to hardcore world, which I've died on multiple times, but I still have fun with it. I'll put it in the description if anyone's curious to try it. I think Mojang could implement one of two solutions to this problem of finding trial chambers. The first one is via the cartographer. The cartographer could sell a map similar to the one like a Woodland Mansion or an Ocean Monument map that they already sell. If the cartographer did sell trial chambers maps, I think a reasonable trade-off would be slightly decreasing the frequency at which they spawn. Maybe not, I don't know. They seem to spawn pretty often, at least in Java Edition. I haven't looked too much in Bedrock. But this is probably the simplest solution I can think of in terms of trying to find a trial chamber. They are stupidly hard to find. If I did not know that there was one underneath my mountain already, I would have been digging and looking forever to find one. But I think having cartographers do it would be great. If you want to go through a trial chamber with your friends, your current options are either just to mine for hours or just have someone use cheats to tell everyone where to go, which that's not fun to me. If I'm mining to get there, half of my inventory is already filled with random junk by the time I get to the chamber, so either I have to go all the way back to my base or make a box nearby or just throw everything out. And this leads me to my next issue. You get a lot of loot from this dungeon. A ton. This would be cool, and it is cool in some ways, except for the fact that in single player, it's way too much for a single person to carry. While I can see how this could be a good thing in that it gives people reasons to come back more than once, I feel as though this sort of thing kind of makes early or mid-game inventory sorting a nightmare, which is already a nightmare. The easiest solution I came up with to this problem was using those barrels in the main hallway. Stuffing all your good loot in those and then coming back later seems to be the best way in-game to fix this problem. For now, I recommend that when you make a new world with these snapshot versions, I recommend you turn on the bundle because you're going to really want a bundle when you go in there. There's a lot of random little things you'll be picking up, and having bundles will help you clear up your inventory quite a bit and allow you to adventure for longer. Lastly, out of the bad things, the loot is only really good if you're kind of in the middle or the beginning of your playthrough. Like, sure, you can get some pretty fancy stuff like a diamond block or other things like that, but it's really rare that you'll get something that good. The end cities offer far superior loot and are much easier to go through than to navigate through these dungeons. Couple that with like having to find the dungeon itself, you're just better off going to an end city. A solution to this would maybe be Mojang have loot tables that scale up to how powerful a player is when they open a chest or container. However, that seems like a lot of work, and I kind of doubt they do that. But honestly, I'm kind of mixed on how I feel about the loot tables right now. There's good and there's bad to them. That's my overall take. I'm on the fence. And finally, we're going to be getting into the ugly things. These are things that I think are just flat out bad and they need to change. And some of these things extend beyond just the trial chamber. Some of these things are problems with Minecraft itself. And the biggest issue I have with trial chambers currently is mob clutter. There is one particular room variant where mob cluttering becomes a massive problem. This room has multiple levels of zigzag platforms that ascend upward. Each platform has like 2 trial spawners on it, and each time I found this room, these platforms have been stray spawners. Things get insane really quickly. I think I have seen more strays kill each other than get killed by me. Rather than have fun and engage in mechanics, these rooms feel incredibly boring as you just kind of wait for all the mobs to kill each other, and then you go in there and pick off all the stragglers. There's just too many spawners in this particular room, and that leads to just too many mobs. Any shield you have, I don't care if it has Unbreaking 3 or what, it's going to get destroyed in just a few minutes. But without a shield in this room, you're toast. You're going to die over and over again unless you let all the strays kill each other first, and even then, you still might be in trouble. This isn't the only place where mob clutter is an issue, it's just the biggest offender that I've found so far. I recommend getting a sword with sweeping edge if possible. It'll save you a lot of durability and it'll help with a lot of the mob clutter. Don't use axes like I did in this footage. I'm only using axes because I found a good axe in the trial chamber. This kind of bleeds over to an issue with Minecraft as a whole, mob AI. Most of Minecraft's hostile mobs are just kind of not that bright. The fact that the strays will just all kill each other before I ever even get the chance to try isn't fun to me. While this problem could be solved by reducing the amount of spawners in each room or changing how skeletons attack each other, it also begs the question of how mob AI could be improved, but perhaps that's a whole different topic for a different day. As of now, skeletons will attack another skeleton if shot by an arrow 100% of the time, unless a player has already hit that skeleton. If this was reduced to even like a 50% chance, I think Trial Chambers would be far more challenging. Just having the chance that a skeleton can shoot another skeleton and that skeleton won't shoot back but will still be focused on me would be fantastic. Because more often than not, again, like I said before, skeletons are just killing each other constantly, and it makes for not a very fun experience. But let's talk about loot tables. I touched on this briefly, but something that I've learned from making dungeons of my own is that players really love raw materials rather than actual pieces of gear. You see, if I give players raw iron or iron ingots rather than, say, an iron axe or iron armor, they can use that iron in any way they see fit. On the other hand, I do see that getting enchanted iron armor and things like that is really nice, and it's really good for that mid to early game, but I think a mix of gear and raw materials would be very much appreciated. As of now, it feels like I'm mostly getting just gear and not enough raw materials. Diamonds feel a little too rare to me. The fact that I cannot get diamonds from a trial spawner is a bit odd. As of now, it's not in their loot table, which they definitely should be, even if it's a very low chance. Additionally, I think trial spawners should have loot tables that scale up depending on how difficult the specific room is. For example, maybe the breeze spawner could have a better loot table, as it is a more challenging mob than, say, a husk spawner. The more difficult the mob, the better the loot. I think players should be rewarded for taking down more difficult mobs and challenges. And finally, I want to talk about a lack of mob variety. And this is a little bit anecdotal, but this is a problem with Minecraft as a whole. But I felt like I was constantly fighting husks and strays throughout most of this dungeon. It's not fun, and it gets old very quickly when you're fighting the same two mobs in every room. I would really like to see Mojang go out of their way to add a few more mob varieties to these dungeons. I know that like every hostile mob can spawn in there, but I think we need to see more variety in it, or maybe just new mob variants as it is. I've been seeing a lot of people ask for the mossy skeleton from Minecraft Dungeons to be added as the poison skeleton instead of the skeleton that just holds a bow and then a poison arrow when it's offhand. And I think that's an excellent idea. I think that would look really cool, and I think it would add a lot. If they were a trial chamber specific mob, that would be really cool. Additionally, Mojang could program that so that spawners have custom gear. They've already proven that they can do this with those skeletons that hold the poison arrows. Perhaps skeletons with swords could spawn, or zombies decked out in iron gear. At the end of the day, I want to see mobs that are added to Minecraft that shake up how players approach fighting. For example, I think the Iceologer would be the perfect addition to Trial Chambers. For example, imagine the Iceologer is like fighting you with a breeze. The breeze could blast you into a corner while the Iceologer slams you into the ground with an ice chunk. Maybe it could be alongside strays that slow you down and make it harder for you to run away from the chunk of ice that the Iceologer shoots out. This would be a really cool feature, and I would love to see it in Minecraft. Of course, I could go on about the smaller things like generation issues with Skull Kit generating inside of them, or Lush Caves generating inside of them, or how they interact with Bedrock, but these issues are currently being addressed. And that's it for most of the really ugly things. I think if Mojang addressed maybe some of those issues, or maybe some of the issues with Minecraft as a whole, I think that the trial chambers would be really awesome. I'd be really excited to see them, and I'm still excited for them. You know, I want to make clear that I do like trial chambers. I think they're very rewarding and fun for the most part. I hope you all feel as though I've offered some good solutions to the criticisms I've expressed in this video. Overall, Mojang is doing a pretty good job with these, and this particular feature I'm very excited about in terms of Minecraft 1.21. I've had a blast going through it on my hardcore world, and I think if some issues were addressed, this would be Minecraft's best dungeon yet. Gives me Zelda vibes. I'm a big Zelda fan. If you enjoyed today's video, consider giving it a like or subscribing. Doing so helps my channel a ton and helps me on my journey to make YouTube my full-time job. If you want to support me directly, consider becoming a member where you get access to videos early, voting on upcoming video topics, as well as an upcoming unscripted podcast with Emily. In the future, I may do member-only live streams, may do a series of videos that are for members only, but if you're under 18, I don't want your money. That's not something I want. I don't want to take money from children. But if you're an adult who has a couple extra bucks and some disposable income, and you want to throw away your money at me because you enjoy what I do, you can become a member, and that would mean the world to me. Anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye bye.